Ladies and gents, boys and girls, the fun part has begun. The part where there are no games to cover. The part where there are no real time limits. You know, time is just a construct of an alternate reality. I mean, it's the off season. We have so long to go before the first day of the NFL draft. It's only in April, but trust me, it's gonna feel like forever. You might have a new football league to distract you. You might have transferred over to college football because your game in your school was trash during the football season anyway. Maybe you'll have a better game during the basketball season. Maybe there's a different audience for you to pursue. But, without further ado, my name is Dallas. I am doing some off-season football stuff as we get ready for funner things down the road, because who really wants to cover training camp when you're not getting paid for it? And the first topic I want to get to, the first thing I want to talk about, the thing that everybody seems to be a guru about, the thing that everybody in a Twitter comment section who has ever ran a youth football team seems to know a lot about, is paying running back. Almost immediately after the season ended, rumors ran afoul. Now, these happened like right after the Super Bowl. We wanted to give it some breathing room. We didn't want the knee-jerk reactions of football blogs and websites starved for content to, give us the okie doke, the wowie yowie. But after giving it some thought, after looking at the patterns, after looking at the dialogue and I guess the controversy of Zeke Elliott being picked 4th overall at the time he was picked overall, the controversy of Todd Gurley getting picked as high as he was, right when we thought that, in around 2016, 2017-ish, right when we thought that running backs getting drafted in the top 5 as franchise-saving players, when that era was done with, we fast forward. And since I said Ezekiel Elliott, I'll start with Ezekiel Elliott first. Every year, Zeke has played more than 12 games. He has either been right there competing for the rushing title, or he's won the rushing title. Zeke Elliott's off the field issues, and in actuality, it's like they're not even that severe, but when you're negotiating with a running back, everything is the end of the world. But Zeke Elliott's off the field issues are the reason why his holdout had to go so long. And it's the reason why I want to say, was it 2018 or 2017? It might have been 2017. But the year where Ezekiel Elliott and Jerry Jones were basically fighting Roger Goodell the entire season. And while fighting Roger Goodell the entire season, basically lost their season. Because if Ezekiel Elliott had just ate his 6-game suspension early in the season, they probably could have made a 10-game run. But, the past is the past, and that's neither here nor there in this discussion, because Ezekiel Elliott got paid. Ezekiel Elliott got his money. Ezekiel Elliott went to Mexico. Took an international vacation, and got paid. Now, it's somewhere around 6 years, $90 million. It's a big contract. People see the $90 million and they balk and say, oh my God, I never pay a running back $100 million. But it's like, wait, hold on. This is Jerry Jones and this is the Dallas Cowboys, and that team is built to run the football. They're playing chicken with the quarterback that they just built around for the past 4 years because he got the idea from somebody that he needs to fire that he is worth upwards of $35 million a year. I said don't pay Jared Goff. Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl, which means that he's been to an NFC Championship game. Dak Prescott's been, well, no. Actually, has Dak Prescott been to an NFC Championship game? You know what? When the Dallas Cowboys win a playoff game, you know it's like huge news. You know it's very significant when the Dallas Cowboys win a playoff game in this era, which is so sad. But Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl. If Jared Goff could have just tossed 2 tubs in that Super Bowl, he'd have a ring. He got paid. Carson Wentz, he has a ring, but he didn't play for it. And he dang sure didn't win it. Nick Foles did. But Carson Wentz got paid. And that's because they're quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are always going to play chicken, and if their team doesn't pay them, somebody else is going to. I guarantee Shad Khan with his commentary of having an embarrassment of riches at quarterback, which I will get to later on in the show, but I guarantee that Shad Khan with his comments of having an embarrassment of riches at the quarterback position, if he had the cap room, he would sign Dak Prescott. Would it be the best decision? Who knows? But you got a running back that was picked top 5 overall. You got a draft where you got a high 2nd round pick. You got 2 first-round picks the next year. You got Ben McAdoo, former offensive coordinator, Jay Gruden, former offensive coordinator, both are former head coaches. You've invested heavily in the offensive side of the ball. Getting Dak Prescott would make sense, especially because both of those coaches are from the NFC East. But the Jaguars are just one team of many who, please do not front. Please do not act like your team is going to wheel and deal and get Herbert, Tua, or Burrow. This is a free agent class at quarterback. And this is why the running backs are probably screwed. Ezekiel Elliott got his money, set a market. The Cowboys, they just could never get it going. Part of that is because Kellen Moore is a former quarterback. Kellen Moore is younger than the age of 35. Kellen Moore, with his quarterback in a contract year, in his first year as a play caller, put all his money on Dak Prescott, as he should have. Dak Prescott had the best numbers of his life. And the Cowboys did nothing at all. In fact, they had the division wrapped up and collapsed just like the Cowboys do. This leads me to David Johnson and Todd Gurley. Kyler Murray was only going to win 5 games. That's just it. Because the Arizona Cardinals were picking number 1 for a reason. And they had picked number 10 the year before. This is a franchise that fired their head coach and traded their top 10 pick at quarterback after 1 year to hire a head coach that had never won anything significant at Texas Tech and draft a quarterback who is literally the smallest starting quarterback probably ever. He's probably smaller than Doug Flutie. But Kyler Murray won Offensive Rookie of the Year because he was the number 1 overall pick. He was a quarterback, and he played all 16 games. It was all there. Nobody expected Kyler Murray to get the Arizona Cardinals to the playoffs in his rookie year. They just wanted to see him get through the season alive. And David Johnson was supposed to be a big part of that. Handing off the ball to your veteran running back, using play action, that was supposed to be a large part of that. Especially when you consider that David Johnson was Todd Gurley before Todd Gurley. The year that David Johnson got paid, his receiving numbers were ridiculous for a running back. And we haven't seen it since. Kenyon Drake comes in because anybody that Adam Gase coached was clearly bottom of the barrel in the NFL and cheap to get. How wrong everybody was about that. But David Johnson, now they're talking about maybe releasing him. They can't really release him because he's already got $12 million guaranteed. Hard to get rid of that with a cut because of the cap hit. But who's trading for David Johnson right now? Forget if David Johnson could go on some kind of redemption tour and go to a team that has no running back situation and just get fed 350 carries and basically pushed to 1,200 yards just by default because of the number of touches he gets. Nobody's going to take that contract for a guy that basically had 2 great years in Arizona. Then with the Todd Gurley situation, Darnell's going to hate to hear this, but dude, this has been a 2-year thing. Them finally having rumors leak out the building, and yes, it's out the building. These rumors come from the building. As much as people would like to think that football writers are like the pro wrestling writers and they really just make stuff up, no. You have equipment managers, you have equipment managers' assistants, you have receptionists, you have so many lower level people in the sport of football that probably just want to have their 5 minutes in the sun as an anonymous source. It's coming out the building. Now Todd Gurley may be getting traded. The same Todd Gurley that was the largest reason why the Rams were heading towards the Super Bowl and then completely disappeared. The same Todd Gurley that both me and Darnell were screaming to get the ball. Sean McVay looked like an idiot, and we were wondering why he was trying to be so smart in a sport that's so simple. You've got the Saquon Barkley sophomore slump. Forget getting paid. Saquon Barkley was drafted number 2 overall because he wasn't supposed to have a sophomore slump like he had. He says he was healthy, but his ankle got hurt real early in the season. His ankle got hurt real early in his career. Remember that the key word in his position is running back. Running back. Yeah, you can call it a halfback. Yeah, you can call him a tailback. Yeah, you could call him a fullback with those legs. But running back. It's the name of the position. Running backs run. Running backs can get out of shape very easily if they take more than 3 days off consecutively of cardiovascular activity. Something happened with Saquon Barkley. Luckily, it's not his knee. An ankle, let's be honest, an off-season can fix an ankle. Cryotherapy, air therapy, acupuncture. Maybe you have to put some screws and rods in there. You can fix an ankle. An ankle can be okay. Saquon Barkley is entering into his 3rd year. The Giants were dead in the water, even with their nice little top 10 quarterback that they probably reached for. All that was well and good, but they need Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones is probably going to be the next Eli Manning. Daniel Jones might have 2 good Super Bowls when they're the 6th seed and they just keep getting lucky every round. But dude, they need Saquon Barkley. So chances are, Joe Judge and that new regime are going to look at Saquon Barkley and are going to say, look, you're a vet. We need you. You got 3 years left in your contract, including the 5th-year option. We're going to go easy on you this training camp. Because I'm not going to sit here and try to prove a message with my running back that the team drafted 2nd overall because the Mara family is loyal and I just got here. And speaking of the Mara family and New York franchises, I can close out this particular portion of the segment with this. Because trust me, this is going to flow right into my next topic. The Jets wanted Le'Veon Bell. I think Le'Veon Bell wanted the Jets. And songs that seen of him crying during the Monday Night Football game were, for whatever reason, the Cleveland Browns were making a grown man shed tears. Le'Veon Bell has been the main one saying, I met with Adam Gase, we're good. Be cool with Coach Gase. Be patient. I'm being patient. It's just odd that a guy who was supposed to be an offensive guru has a running back that took a year off from being hit, a year off from the wear and tear, a year off from the mental grind, a guy who was supposed to be just as good as a receiver as he was a runner, a guy who you literally could build your offense around because you have a young quarterback that's going to be checking it down a lot anyway. Adam Gase didn't want Le'Veon Bell. And Le'Veon Bell's contract that he ended up getting, around 46, 44 mil or so, that contract is way less than what he wanted from Pittsburgh. His plan ended up backfiring on him, except for the fact that, he did get the rest. So when I say all this, when I bring up all these names, I'm basically saying, what do you do if you're a New Orleans Saints with the Alvin Kamara situation? What do you do when you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and Leonard Fournette is in his fourth year? What do you do with Joe Mixon if you're the Bengals? How high do you draft Adrian Peter's successor in Washington because you don't have Christian McCaffrey anymore? What are you going to do with Christian McCaffrey? Maybe as he gets older, you can do the cornerback to safety gig. Maybe as Christian McCaffrey gets older, you can put him in the slot. Keep his touches down to 50, 55 a year as he gets older. Maybe get a good 500, 650 yards out of him. Role player. But will he take that kind of role player money? And can we really expect that out of all the running backs? Because Alvin Kamara, while not a Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara is a dual threat as well. Are the dual threat running backs who are working so hard to make their money, are they going to be willing to do everything? Are they going to be willing to dance the entire dog and pony show? Think about that. We have to take a break.
Hey, this is Donnie the Playmaker Says. I just want to take a moment to thank you guys for listening to us at the Playmakers Fire podcast. Just to let you know, if you're listening to us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, why don't you go ahead and leave us a review. Tell us what you think of the episodes that you listen to, what you think of the podcast in general. If you listen to, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Radio Public, Castbox, or any other platforms that we're on, follow us. Download the episodes, let us know any kind of way that you want to let us know, whether it's on our Facebook page, the Playmakers Blog Podcast, or on our Twitter page at Playmakers Stuff. Just let us know, because we enjoy interacting with you guys and we want to show our appreciation. So follow us, like us, let us know how we're doing, and thank you for listening to the Playmakers Blog Podcast.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. Welcome back. Settle back in. So in the last segment, I talked a lot about the running backs and everything. And it's the intro segment. I gotta blend a lot of stuff in there. But the reason why I brought up all the big name running backs, the reason why I brought up their situations is because you may get drafted high. Your first contract getting drafted high at running back may be worth a good 20 mil, a good 19 mil, a good 17 mil. But will you be getting the second contract? Ladies and germs, in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana, Alvin Kamara is rumored to be maybe holding out. That makes sense, because when you're a dual threat running back, you get dual threat touches. I don't think he's had over 200 carries in his career, but he does eclipse 75 catches on the regular, so it balances out. His all-purpose yardage, it balances out, which means those hits, they balance out. Alvin Kamara saw a former first-round pick in Mark Ingram go take the money in Baltimore. He also saw a running back come in from Minnesota and look very good when he was hurt and had to get spelled. I'm pretty sure he also saw Damian Williams and Raheem Mostert battle it out. Two former undrafted running backs playing in the Super Bowl, trying to help their teams win. Not making that much money. Making a lot by normal standards, but NFL, not making that much money. Think some graphics that Damian Williams made $1 million. I'm not trying to get into that man's pockets, but if you're Alvin Kamara, you're working on a third-round contract. If you're Alvin Kamara, I believe he is entering his third year in the league. He's a veteran. He's a veteran. And this particular offseason, he knows that if he doesn't get paid now, he's probably not going to get paid by the New Orleans Saints, because all three quarterbacks from the New Orleans Saints are free agents. Drew Brees, 41 years old, free agent. Teddy Bridgewater, can't remember his exact age, is under 30, former franchise quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, free agent. Taysom Hill, Smokescreen galore. Media bandwagon galore. Is this the age-old adage that I don't want to get into on this family-friendly, non-politics show? Or is this everybody hoping that they can find the next Lamar Jackson because it's a copycat league? Either way, all three quarterbacks are due, and all three quarterbacks are going to want starting quarterback money if they're going to be the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. You have three. Ideally, you'd have two. Alvin Kamara knows this. Alvin Kamara knows that Drew Brees ain't coming back from nothing less than 22. Teddy Bridgewater. Whew. Nah, if Jameis Winston wants 30, Teddy Bridgewater is going to want 30. And he should want 30. Taysom Hill, and the reason why Sean Payton is probably already trying to tell himself and convince the media that Taysom Hill is about to be a franchise quarterback, is because Taysom Hill by far is going to be the cheapest of the three. You see, this free agent class is about to make it very difficult for the Carolina Panthers, very difficult for the Jacksonville Jaguars, very difficult for the Cincinnati Bengals. Don't name your team after a cat, folks, because why would you take Nick Foles after what happened in Jacksonville when you can get Marcus Mariota or Jameis Winston? Laugh all you want, but Jameis Winston is the defending NFL passing champion. Jameis Winston threw for over 30 touchdowns. Yes, he threw for over 30 picks. But find a new joke to tell. Because, my God, have you seen the offenses and the offensive coordinators that have built around him in his career? Coming out of FSU, if you thought Jameis Winston was going to magically stop throwing picks, then you were just on the bandwagon. It's okay to not be a college football fan, but don't act like you read a few blogs and you see the NFL scouting combine highlights and you think you know about what a quarterback was or is going to be. Jameis Winston is giving us exactly what we bought. A lot of those legendary comebacks that people wanted to mention when they tried to say that the 2013 FSU team was better than this past LSU team is that Jameis Winston has so many legendary victories, so many legendary comebacks. Well, he threw his team into those situations. In one of those games, he didn't even win. I think the Clemson game, he didn't even win because he was suspended. What you see is what you get with Jameis Winston. But if you're basically telling me that I have a quarterback that, despite his interceptions, is going to win me a passing title and throw for 30 plus touchdowns? If you mean to tell me that I'm going to finish 7-9, and if I can just get him down to 22 interceptions, I'm a playoff team? Jameis Winston keeps his playoff. If Jameis Winston keeps his interceptions into the teens, Tampa Bay is probably making as much noise as the Tennessee Titans did. Because, yeah, Jameis Winston's going to throw 2 picks that game. Yeah, Jameis Winston's going to throw a bunch of picks against the Saints defense. But guess what? He's also going to light them up for 42. So, and then with the Marcus Mariota thing, like, okay. With Phillip Rivers, you're getting Jameis Winston's picks without Jameis Winston's production. Phillip Rivers is a family man. You knew the divorce with the Chargers was imminent because he moved his family to Florida. This is the same man that was commuting from San Diego to Los Angeles because he didn't want to leave his family, he didn't want to leave the city. It's a Southern man at heart. He knows retirement is near, but he picked Florida. He's from Alabama. He picked Florida. I don't blame him for that. My family literally did the same thing ages ago. But I'm not signing Phillip Rivers over Jameis Winston. If I'm the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, hey, this is the former number 1 overall pick. And in a contract year, he won the passing title. All the good and all the bad from Jameis Winston happened in a contract year. Now, Jameis Winston is a quarterback he's just a volume passer. He's a volume deep passer. You gave him Chris Godwin. You gave him Mike Evans. You even have Rashad Perriman out there. OJ Howard, I'm sure he would have loved to have more targets, but hey, you get a deep threat tight end, and I'm just not seeing how Jameis Winston, former number 1 overall pick, and Marcus Mariota, a guy who may need to be in a spread offense, a guy who has not done well playing in smash mouth offenses. I just don't see how you trade for a Nick Foles. I don't see how you trade for a hurt near the end of the road Cam Newton. I don't see how you trade for an Andy Dalton that never won a playoff game in his prime and probably isn't ever going to win one. I don't see how you trade for those three when Tom Brady and Marcus Mariota and Phillip Rivers and Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Brees, quarterbacks who have won playoff games, I don't see how when they're on the market, you trade for a Nick Foles or an Andy Dalton or a Cam Newton. The NFL draft has one first round. I'll say it again because I know I just blew your mind. The NFL draft only has one first round. And in that first round, the very best quarterbacks are going to go. Yes, Andy Dalton was a second-round pick. Yes, Russell Wilson was a third-round pick. Hey, Kyle Allen, he started off great. He was undrafted. Case Keenum, he started a lot of games. He's been a stopgap player. He was undrafted. You may find a diamond in the rough. You can find a Kurt Warner. He was undrafted, played in the AFL. Not even an outdoor league like the XFL or CFL. He played in the Arena Football League, stocking groceries. You may be able to find your quarterback in the later rounds. You may be able to find a Tom Brady. You may be able to find a Gardner Minshew, but you only have one first round. And are you really going to waste that first round pick on a defensive tackle or an inside linebacker when you need a quarterback? And if you do waste your first round pick on a defensive tackle or an inside linebacker when you need a quarterback, you must be going into free agency in March to get Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, or Jameis Winston. So, Dallas, you're talking, and I'm sure there's a good point in there, but what really is your overall point? Well, when you're connecting the discussion about the running backs in the first segment to what I'm talking about with this free agent class now, we have this weird thing going on where everybody wants the next Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson. Everybody wants the quarterback that's going to take the league by storm. Everybody wants the cool, calm, and collected Russell Wilson that literally can make a rebuilding year a wild card year. Everybody wants that veteran Aaron Rodgers where if I give him a running game and I give him a defense, oh wow, I'm in a conference championship game. At the end of the day, no matter what era it is, there are Hall of Fame quarterbacks from every era. Quarterback is the most important position on the field. And if you're an Alvin Kamara, if you're a Leonard Fournette, if you're a Christian McCaffrey, you're looking at Saquon Barkley, you're looking at David Johnson, you're looking at Todd Gurley, you're looking at how the Dallas Cowboys did after paying Zeke, you have to start thinking to yourself, oh my God, Nick Foles is taking up an exorbitant amount of cap room, and Gardner Minshew's cheap, but he's going to be due. The Cincinnati Bengals are about to draft Joe Burrow and trade Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is going to be around where I am contract-wise. So if my team needs a quarterback and we're not in a position to draft a quarterback, are they going to give me a contract? Or are they going to use that cap room that they had for me to get one of these guys in the free agent market? It's weird because when the Seattle Seahawks couldn't run the ball, as great as Russell Wilson is, when that run game was toast, the Seahawks were toast. Jerry Jones paid Ezekiel Elliott all this money, but when they put the game into Dak's hands, the Cowboys were toast. Todd Gurley was nowhere to be found in the playoffs in 2018. 2019, that knee is still bugging him. Guess what? even with Jalen Ramsey, even with Aaron Donald, even with Dante Fowler finally realizing his potential somewhat, the Rams were toast. The Philadelphia Eagles, insert injury here, toast. You need a running game to survive in the NFL. Running the ball is literally 50% of an offense. There's passing stats and there's rushing stats. Rushing stats are literally when you take a handoff in the backfield and move forward past the line of scrimmage. It's a very simple concept. Body on a body, run forward, fall forward, keep those legs moving. It's a very, very simple concept. The service academies don't do nothing but run the football. It's like rugby. But we're now in an offseason where you have Drew Brees and Tom Brady. You don't know how long you're going to have them. Marcus Mariota, maybe he's just not that good. Jameis Winston's going to throw you a lot of picks. Teddy Bridgewater may be the guy. Taysom Hill, leave him in New Orleans. Don't touch him. This free agent class has a lot of big names, and everybody's hyping up this free agent class, but they're hyping up this free agent class because everybody wants to be sentimental. This free agent quarterback class actually isn't that good. Once Teddy Bridgewater gets signed, I honestly say Jameis Winston's the second best option because of longevity. How much longer are you going to get peak Tom Brady and Drew Brees seasons? How much longer are you going to get 4,000 plus yard Tom Brady and Drew Brees seasons? If they go to new franchises with new coordinators, new cultures, new systems, are you really going to get Drew Brees and Tom Brady? Jameis Winston, you throw the ball 650 times or more, you're going to get Jameis Winston. If you give Jameis Winston the 40 plus passing attempts per game, you're going to get Jameis Winston. Please just don't put him in a West Coast offense. Put him in an offense where you throw the ball deep. Get him 2 deep threats on the outside. Get him some stuff. Run a 4 wide. Hell, run a 5 wide. Get a running back that can't even run the ball. All he can do is catch. A Shane Vereen type. A James White type. You know what you get when you pay for Jameis Winston. You won't be wasting money on Jameis Winston. You will just be biting your nails to the bone because you're wondering when the interception is going to happen. You will get what you pay for if you get Teddy Bridgewater and Jameis Winston. But are you really going to get what you pay for if you get Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Tom Brady, Marcus Mariota, or Taysom Hill? The answer is no. Shoot, I'd say the third best option is trading a 6th round pick or a 5th round pick for Case Keenum. Because at least you know what you'll get with him too. If you're going to waste your 1st round pick on a defensive tackle or an inside linebacker, if you're not going to move up to get one of these quarterbacks, you have options in the free agency pool. You have options in the trade pool. But if I'm a running back, I'm scared because everybody's hyping up this free agency class and it's just full of a bunch of guys who are old and past their primes. They're full of a bunch of guys who had a good run, but that run is probably over. And because they want to get the big name, because they're desperate, because this is a copycat league, some team, my team, is going to pay $30+ million for Drew Brees or Tom Brady, and all that money is going to be gone, and then they're going to come to me and have the nerve to use one of 2 words: restructure or release. And even though this year, out of every year, has proven that the run game is never going to die in the NFL, for whatever reason, the run game's not going to die. The run game got the Packers as far as they got. The run game got the Seahawks as far as they got. The run game got the 49ers as far as they got. And the run game closed the deal for the Kansas City Chiefs. But it's kind of like waiters and waitresses in the food industry, in the fine dining industry. We'll tip you. We'll tip you as much as you want. We'll tip you as much as we can and as much as we feel like it. But salary? Wages? We have a quarterback to go get in free agency. We have defensive ends that we need to pay. We have the draft coming. You understand. Surely, running backs of the NFL, you understand that this free agency class is full of, at best, bloated 1 or 2 year contracts that are going to ruin your pockets. Surely you understand that new teammate that's coming in the offensive room, the guy that's going to save the franchise, the guy that's that last step. You're just one quarterback away, just like the Jaguars in 2017, just like the Vikings in 2017, just like the Bears in 2018, just like the Buffalo Bills now, maybe even the San Francisco 49ers. You're just a quarterback away, and your team is going to pay whatever they need to pay to get that quarterback at your expense. This is the Playmakers Blog Podcast. This is football. We're talking off season, and we'll be right back. Okay, all right. I got all the general news out the way. I was objective. I was serious. I was fair. But, it's the off season. It's just me, unsupervised. So you guys know what time it is. You know that I've given you 34 minutes of the rest of the NFL. So I'm about to just cry and vent for the next 20 or so. Where to begin with the sorry behind Jacksonville Jaguars? Where do I go? When do I leave? When will I be free? This franchise may very well leave the city of Jacksonville before they give us a Hall of Famer. Tony Baselli, the best player in franchise history, only played 91 games, and that is what they're holding against him, even though he made an all-decade team, a bunch of all-pro teams, and a bunch of Pro Bowls. Even though his contemporaries who are already in the Hall of Fame recognize him as one of the best left tackles, if not the best left tackle of the 1990s, it's fitting that the best player in Jacksonville Jaguars history is an offensive lineman that didn't play long enough. It's fitting that, at the end of the day, the first draft pick in franchise history was a left tackle, and he didn't even play for a decade. It makes sense, don't it? It makes sense that the first draft pick ever in the history of the Baltimore Ravens was Jonathan Ogden. It makes sense that he's in the Hall of Fame. It makes sense that Orlando Pace, the guy who finished 4th in Heisman voting his senior year, it makes sense he's in the Hall of Fame. It makes sense, don't it? Now, Eric Fisher and Jake Long, they're probably not getting into the Hall of Fame. Former number 1 overall picks, surefire, can't miss guys at the tackle position. Luke Joeckel, we know for certain he's not even getting to the Hall of Shame. They don't want his ass anywhere near the annals of history. That is a bust. But, again, offensive line, what you gonna do? It's just highlights of big guys and leaning on each other. Brutal sumo matches going on for 25 seconds at a time. It's horrific. It's horrendous. It's not good television. I don't recommend you watch it. But what do you do if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars? Fred Taylor, this is his first year. Adrian James has to get in before Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor does not have a shot if Adrian James doesn't get in. Adrian James is going to get in. He's going to, be inducted, which is great. Played in the Super Bowl. Him and Marshall Faulk at one time were both on the Colts. Good God. Talk about connecting running backs into all 3 segments today. The Colts had Marshall Faulk and Adrian James at one point in time, and they both ended up in the NFC West. What the hell, man? But, I honestly think the best chance is going to be Fred Taylor. I mean, you got Peyton Manning alone. When's Ray Lewis coming up? Like, you've got names coming, about to be on the list where it's like, there's a lot of people that you start thinking back and you're like, wait a minute, he did retire. We're going to get to a point where it's like Tony Baselli, let's see, this was his 4th year of being a finalist. Andrew Luck already has 1 season out the league. So by the time Tony Baselli is in his 8th, 9th, 10th year as a finalist, Andrew Luck should have been on a couple ballots. Again, never won a Super Bowl, never won an AFC Championship game. You're really going off of what could have been more so than what was. But at the same time, he's a Colt. So, and the sad thing is, I'm talking about Maurice Jones-Drew and Fred Taylor, making the finalist run, and Fred Taylor actually having stats, and, Jerome Bettis and Edgerrin James, and, Frank Gore's probably going to get in, and Curtis Martin's in, and there's a lot of running backs in the Hall of Fame right now who are around where Fred Taylor is or just above him. He's the best shot the Jags have because, Jalen Ramsey might have been decent, but just like Deion Sanders, you got to leave that small market team in the Southeast to grow your wings as a cornerback. Yannick Ngakoue. Yeah, let's talk about that, guys. Let me get all the individual player issues out the way before I start crying about London. Because we're talking about viability. We're talking about putting butts in seats. We're talking about not wanting to put pressure on the Jacksonville fans to come to every home game. Well, it would sure be nice if Yannick Ngakoue got to stay on the team. It'd sure be nice if you let the fans know that when a guy is elite and when everybody else wants a guy on their team, that you recognize that and you pay him accordingly. It sure would be nice if we could look at Josh Allen, Yannick Ngakoue, and Calais Campbell and say to ourselves, well, hell, if we're not going to have a Pro Bowl quarterback, we can at least have Pro Bowl defensive ends up and down the line. Josh Allen, Pro Bowl in his rookie year. Calais Campbell, third straight Pro Bowl. Yannick Ngakoue made a Pro Bowl in 2017. What? I, as a Jaguars fan, do not want to hear about us taking a defensive tackle 9th overall. I don't want to hear about us taking a cornerback 20th overall. I don't want to hear about the Jacksonville Jaguars making 2 consecutive picks in the first round for defense when we can't pay Yannick Ngakoue. When we're running a scheme in a defense where Josh Allen isn't on the field the entire time. Dude, Nick Bosa played in the Super Bowl. I get it. He should have been Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not salty about that. It is what it is. But, bro, Josh Allen led the team in sacks. Josh Allen had 12 sacks. He led our rookies in sacks. He wasn't even a starter. Do you mean to tell me that if you let Yannick Ngakoue go, that you're going to pay Josh Allen down the line? Is that what you're telling me? Are you telling me as a Jaguars fan that if you let Yannick Ngakoue go, that means that you chose Calais Campbell? A guy who's made an all-pro team? A guy who's been an AP Defensive Player of the Year? I mean, a guy who's been to the Pro Bowl 3 straight times? A guy who won the Walter Payton Man of the Year award? A guy who's basically done everything but win a Super Bowl ring since he's been a Jacksonville Jaguar? I mean, hell. I don't want to hear the Jacksonville Jaguars being mocked to take a defensive lineman when we have a defensive lineman that is about to leave because the team does not want to pay him. I don't want to hear after we drafted Dante Fowler, Jalen Ramsey, Taven Bryan, and Josh Allen that we're about to go defensive line again. Are we the New York Jets? Quarterback situation isn't set. Offense is in shambles. We need help on the defensive back end. But we're going to go defensive line again? My God. My goodness. But because, Yannick Ngakoue, he has a nice pace. Josh Allen, he has a damn good pace. Calais Campbell, he's having his best years in his twilight with the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I look at all 3 of them and I think to myself, bro, I mean, Calais Campbell is going to go into the Hall of Fame as a Jaguar. He's probably going to go in as a Cardinal. Calais Campbell, the kind of man that he is, the kind of stand-up guy that he is, bro, he's probably going to go in as a Cardinal. They recognize all the teams you played and everything, but bro, he's going to be a Cardinal. So you're really down to who? Who right now on the Jacksonville Jaguars? Josh Lambo? Because Josh Lambo would definitely go in as a Jaguar. without a shadow of a doubt. The way that the Los Angeles Chargers did him and the way that he's rebounded after those first rocky seasons, like second team All Pro. Justin Tucker is really the only kicker right now in the game that you can look and legitimately make an argument that's better than Josh Lambo. I mean, what Brett Kern did for the Tennessee Titans this past year and in the playoffs, Josh Lambo's been doing for us in the place kicking game. Like, keeping us in games, giving us hope, saving us from all the embarrassment. Like, that's been Josh Lambo. But I mean, dude, again, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. You can spare $5 mil, $6 mil a year. You can do a ridiculous NHL contract and sign Josh Lambo to an 8-year, what would that be, an 8-year, $40 million contract at $5 mil a year. You can do that. Sure, the cap hit wouldn't even be that bad. But Josh Lambo is going to have to play at least 20 years in a Jaguars uniform to make the Hall of Fame. 20 years? Is the team even going to be in Jacksonville in 20 years? What else do I have down here? Because, oh God, it's a lot. Let's see here. Oh. Remember what I said earlier about the free agency situation? Remember how even though I brought up Foles, remember how I brought up how Cam Newton, how David Tepper is saying when he's healthy, we'll talk? Remember how I brought up how the Zach Taylor ruined Andy Dalton? Maybe on the trade market sometime soon? Dude, who are you taking right now? Who are you taking right now? If you want to be the general Twitter comment fan, by all means, be the general Twitter comment fan, because I'm talking straight to you right now. Are you taking the guy who was a backup quarterback and hasn't started 16 games in his NFL career yet? Or are you taking the guy who's been to a Super Bowl, lost it, but lost it against a historic defense? Or are you taking the guy who actually isn't broken down and hurt like Cam Newton, has started 16 games multiple times, unlike Nick Foles, has led his team as a starting quarterback to the playoffs multiple times, unlike Nick Foles, unlike Jameis Winston, unlike Taysom Hill? I mean, what do you do? What do you do right now if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars? You're walking up to a Yannick Ngakoue and saying that we need to do some moves, we need to move around the cap, when you have the Nick Foles and Blake Bortles contracts in the historical record? What the hell is going on here? What are we doing? And this is just the player stuff, folks. I mean, I'm just venting here. This is just the player-related issues. I'm not even talking about the fact that, hey, Marcel Darius, we're not going to be able to afford him, but the run defense went to absolute doo-doo once he got hurt for the season. I'm not even going to talk about the fact that Taven Bryan, if he could be a solid role player, that'd be great. Not going to talk about the fact that Jawan Taylor right now might very well be the best player on the offense, and that's including Gardner Minshew. That's including Leonard Fournette. That's including DJ Shark. Yeah, Shark made the Pro Bowl, but I mean, hey, long term, bro, Jawan Taylor is going to be all right. He's going to be fine. If you're Jaguars ownership, if you're in the ticket sales department, if you're anywhere in business operations, how are you looking at how this team is built and honestly saying to yourself, it's the fans' fault? How are you looking at the product you're putting on the field and saying the game day experience is the reason why we can't sell tickets? First of all, it's hot as hell when the team is actually still competitive. The team is only competitive in September. The only time Jaguars fans truly have a hope and truly have a shot is in September, when everybody's in the dumpster. When everybody's trying to figure out their 53-person roster and trying to figure out if they made the right decisions after training camp. Dude, everybody sucks in September. And it's hot. It's blazing. There's no reprieve. There's no hope in sight when you're sitting in TIA Bank and that September sun is bearing down on you. and you're watching your franchise quarterback get hurt in the first damn quarter. What is all this viability business? What is all this we don't want to put pressure on the home fans to come to every home game business? What is this chicanery? What is this tomfoolery? Why are we having 2 home games in London? Why aren't we having a road game be put in London? What, you want to play 2 home games? You want to play 2 games in London so bad? Why are you taking away home games from the season ticket holders? Why are you taking away revenue and business for downtown Jacksonville 2 times a year? Why can't you take away business from one of the other teams? Why can't you take away business for an away game where you know you're going to get blown out? Why are you trying to put your best foot forward for a team that is all the way across the pond? How could we be trying? How could we be seeing the beginning of an NFL team relocating to London, England, when the Major League Baseball has a team in Toronto? The National Basketball Association has a team in Toronto. And the National Hockey League has multiple teams across the country of Canada, in Quebec, and Manitoba, and Ontario. I'm trying to remember if there's anybody in Saskatchewan or over there in British Columbia. I think there's somebody over there in British Columbia. Canucks. I mean, how are you going to have a team in England before you have a team in Canada? And how have the Buffalo Bills been able to hold on so long with their stadium being located in Orchard Park that has less than 30,000 people? How? Some of you could say, well, Dallas, look at the Bills Mafia fan base. Even though they have a stadium that has a capacity that's bigger than the total town's population, that just means the entire metro area goes to Bills games. They waited 20 plus years to get to the playoffs. Now they've been in the playoffs the past 2 out of 3 years. Now they have a franchise quarterback. He'll learn. He won't lateral the ball at the 50-yard line while being tackled by 2 people all the time. He just needed to get the playoff jitters out the way. He'll be better. He'll be fine. But you guys down there in Jacksonville, you fair weather fans, you ungrateful bumpkins, you guys were just in the AFC Championship a couple years ago. The hell are you guys complaining about? To the people that for some reason on the outside looking in may still be blaming the Jacksonville Jaguars fan base. Bro. So did you blame the St. Louis fan base? Did you blame the city of St. Louis for not wanting to shell out the stadium money? Did you blame the city of San Diego? The city of Jacksonville right now is going through a lot. The murder rate is still up. Lot J, I don't know if Lot J is ever going to happen. Apparently some of the money that Shad Khan is requesting for Lot J is going to be dedicated to cleanup. The city can't even clean up the damn site for the Jacksonville Jaguars. If anybody in the city should be getting special perks and free services, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. What is the city of Jacksonville without the Jaguars? Jacksonville's never getting a Major League Baseball team. Never getting a National Hockey League team. We're never getting an NBA team. We need to focus on getting NBA preseason games on a consistent basis, first of all. And then the Orlando Magic are right there. The NFL is it. Because I don't know if the XFL is lasting long enough to make lobbying for an XFL team once the Jaguars leave worth it. JU just canceled football, effective immediately months ago. There's no college football. Edward Waters is in the NAIA. Now they're about to go to NCAA D2. They're in the transition for that, but that's NCAA D2. They're going from the NAIA, that's markedly cheaper and easier on the budget, to Division II of NCAA. Now, granted, a lot of HBCUs are playing NCAA D2 football right now. But you got to deal with the NCAA budget. You got to deal with the NCAA rules. You got to deal with the NCAA eligibility center. It's only a matter of time for Edward Waters. What are you going to do? Is Bowles going to be the show in town? Is Edward Waters being an NCAA, are they going to be the best show in town? Who's going to be the show in town? Because the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp, formerly known as the Jacksonville Suns, god dang, they thirsty, but I respect their hustle. I don't know what league the Jacksonville Sharks are in right now. Are the Jacksonville Giants even still alive? If the Jacksonville Jaguars go to London, what is going to be the biggest show in town? What's going to be the hottest ticket in town if the Jacksonville Jaguars go to London? Jacksonville has a lot of business. Jacksonville has a lot of college basketball pedigree. Will UNF finally get into their first tournament? I mean, geez. When's the next time JU's men's team is going to get to a tournament? Now that I think about it, good Lord. But I mean, still, Jacksonville is too big to be a college basketball town. It's too big. So the city needs to get it together. The mayor needs to grow a spine. Shad Khan needs to learn how to read the room. I don't know what this messaging is, but I think the worst part of the messaging right now is Shad Khan actually thought that the announcement that we would have 2 home games in London was going to go over well. His son, Tony, seems to be a nice guy. His son, Tony, seems to be just enjoying life, enjoying the opportunities that he's inherited, and working hard to make his own name. And I can't do anything but respect that. But man, how's Fulham doing right now? Man, when's the last time AEW had over 1 million viewers? Man, when's the last time the Jaguars actually used the analytics department? There's a lot of problems going on in the city of Jacksonville right now. Don't know when the first Hall of Famer is going to get his name called. You don't know if your franchise defensive end is going to have the opportunity to fully blossom in a teal jersey. You don't know who the best player in your offense is right now, but you just hired a new quarterbacks coach who was a former head coach. And you just hired a new offensive coordinator who was a former head coach. Both coached for franchises that did absolutely nothing noteworthy in the same division. The Giants and the Redskins have not been the Giants and the Redskins since Magadoo and Gruden took helms over there. Once storied franchises that used to be the elites of the NFL. They ain't do a damn thing under Jay Gruden and McAdoo, but hey. It's the Jaguars. Who wants to take the job for a team that's not going to be in the city for 10 games? 10 weeks out of the 16-week season, at the very least, you're not going to be home. Then, let's be honest. The Texans are a great regular season team, and the Texans have doubled down on Bill O'Brien. Stability. The Tennessee Titans are only going to get better at the quarterback position. They're either going to get Tom Brady, or they're going to double down on Ryan Fitzpatrick. Not Ryan Fitzpatrick. They wish they got Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Tannehill. The Derrick Henry situation is the Derrick Henry situation. But if you re-sign him, draft an insurance policy in the 4th round, a more traditional new age back, Tennessee Titans might be cooking with something. The defensive pieces are there. The special teams pieces are there. The head coach is there. It's just when you had to rely on Ryan Tannehill to keep them in the game, that couldn't happen. Chiefs went balls to the walls to stop Derrick Henry, and the Titans lost. But the Titans are still there. And if they re-sign Derrick Henry, good God almighty, everybody's in trouble. And then the Colts. Tank for Lawrence. Jacoby Brissett still on a pretty good deal. 1 year left. He's in a contract year. He's either going to get them to the playoffs, or he's going to put them in perfect position to get Trevor Lawrence. Either way, you're not hosting a playoff game. You're lucky to be on the road for a playoff game. That's another week from home. I only hope that there will be good news to talk about in the coming weeks. Because after the NFL draft, I will probably, so we'll be talking about the Rams and the Jaguars. And after the NFL draft, I will be free. I say free because I don't know what the Jacksonville Jaguars could do to make this this past 365 days any worse. But if it's a September to September speed run, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to give you exactly what you want. And that is a major car crash that just keeps scraping and scraping and scraping all the way down the highway. You guys enjoy.